Hi, my name is Charles Liu, and you may recognize me from Netflix's Next in Fashion. This is the first time I've done a YouTube video like this, but I really wanted to share with you guys the process of what goes into making a garment, from the idea to the making of and construction to the fitting and to the end product and delivery. So this project was for Miss Fiercalicious from Canada's Drag Race, and it was a special project for Canada versus the world, and she commissioned this piece at the end of last year. That's when she contacted me and she said, please set some time aside. I really want to have something made by you. So she had basically all these designers lined up, and then she would kind of delegate which challenges, and I got the promo look. So for the promo look, it was wrestling themed, and it commanded color and it had to be neon. So I racked my brain and I thought, let's do pink. Pink would be the most elegant color. She was very open to ideas, and so I love working with people who are very flexible and who put a lot of faith and trust in me. And so I really wanted to add sportwear elements. I didn't want to do stretch spandex because I knew a lot of queens would do stretch. That just kind of goes hand in hand, and I always think with wrestling, and I always think it's better to go the unexpected route. So I said, let's do high fashion, because with spandex you can't achieve a certain volume sometimes, and I thought if we did a more sturdy structured material, we could achieve something really, really beautiful and something very contemporary in its look. So it has the elements of wrestling, with its like wrestling belts and all of these sport and short elements, but it's done in a certain way that makes it look very new and a fresh take on it. So in the design itself, you'll notice it's really about the sleeves. I really wanted to keep this kind of exaggerated volume on the side, and then I wanted to keep a very small centered, just because I wanted to kind of look like wings coming off of her body. Because I knew we couldn't add any heavy details towards the middle. It would take away from from it looking like a functional wrestling outfit. So I really wanted to expand the details outwards and kind of make her look like she had wings, almost like a bird. And I wanted to add this kind of draping element. So these sleeves look like they drape in and around like this as one piece, when really there are several segments that kind of work together. There's the structure of this part, which is, it holds the sleeve, and then the oversleeve, and then the undersleeve, which all drapes into the back. So it's really this idea of tension, gathers, and then suspension. It really is kind of a great example of the engineering that goes into a garment. Other details of this piece include a mock snap short, a corset back, corset front, boned corset belt, and most importantly, the four, which anchors the whole look together. I molded Fierce's body exactly with tape. I usually don't do this, but I wanted it to really conform to her body and be a reflection of the exact fit, because it was a bodysuit. And here I'm just adding the understructure that goes into the peplum. This goes into the hip itself, into the waistline. All this top stitching details. I wanted to add a very sportwear element into this look. Pressing all the layers, adding the buttons. It's kind of this mock snap short detail, but it's a bodysuit. It's actually one piece. And here I'm creating the four that goes on the wrestling belt. Here I bonded so many layers of felt because it wasn't stiff enough. So I bonded it, stitched it, and then placed it on top because I wanted this 3D element of this varsity letter. And just stoning it right here. I didn't want to stone it, but it's a costume, so it has to pick up light in a certain way. And all these like little steps, which I do individually and then I kind of put together later. Top stitching the waist. That was really hard to go through the machine. Hand sewing, adding the boning into the belt itself. It's supposed to be like a wrestling belt. And kind of this thick plush waistband, which I'm known for. Bias trim. Now I'm trimming all of the boning. This part goes into the sleeve. I marked all of the sleeves, the channels individually on this corset mesh. Cutting it out, adding it to the outermost layer. And this actually serves to add body. You don't see this too much, but it adds structure to the garment itself. Here I'm boning the garment at different stages before I add in the sleeve, because you can't add it in later. And just stitching it in perfectly, and then sealing the edges so it doesn't poke through the armpit, and then again hand sewing that. And you can kind of see this doesn't have the boning through this way yet on the sleeve, but I added in here. And anyone who sews will know this. You kind of need to put your garment together as it's going to kind of keep you motivated. And this is what it looks like before the outer big layer of sleeve goes in. And so this was so meticulously crafted and cut, so it's all symmetrical, this kind of big voluminous flounce. And now I'm working on the bottom layer of the sleeve, which was so much fabric. And then again, sealing all the edges, gathering into gathers. This had a lot of gathers, all by hand, all evenly spaced out. And now it's time for her fitting. So this is her first impression of it. She loves it. She loves it. It's such a pleasure to work with Fierce because she kind of gave me free rein. I gave her a sketch and I showed her what it would be like.
Okay.
She said just run with
the
it.
most though. Okay, the fitting. The back is a mess right now.
And here it's not fully
but it
done.
will
This
be
is just
really
to
nice
see
soon.
everything sitting in the right place,
Yeah.
and it usually does. And she's working it. And it's so nice to see when a client can make a garment come to life. All this movement just becomes very animated and alive. It's the relationship between the wearer and the garment. And it really was made for her. She really does know how to work.
So I just want to give
garment.
you 2 reference points.
Oh my god, and then when I like walk in the video.
Now the finishing part. People think it's done. It's not done. There's so much more. All of this hand sewing, making sure all the ends are sealed and where they need to be. I wanted everything pink, even the pink label. That was really important to me. Because if I was going to go pink, you might as well go all pink with the contrast and the white inside. So that was very pretty. And here I did the knee pads. We didn't end up using the knee pads, which happens when you're doing celebrity or costuming. Sometimes you do use the elements and sometimes you don't. And here it is, for the most part, finished. Now it's time for all the bustling and lacing up. I'm really fortunate that I found a paracord that matches this fabric almost perfectly. And here, lacing it up, making sure everything's in the right place before I start bustling everything in together. And then you can see that it's a massive train on the sleeves. And all of the sleeves go right into the back. It's kind of like a Rococo element to it, almost Marie Antoinette, with all this bustling and polonaise that goes, this huge flourish that ends up into the back, which gives it this really beautiful kind of drapery in the back. And here I am just playing with it, lacing up the front. I've laced a lot of corsets in my lifetime, and adding a lot of metal hardware, which adds a kind of masculine edge, a little bit of a streetwear element, and just makes it a little bit more edgy. And then the boned belt, this wrestling belt with the 4, and we wanted to put a lightning bolt through it. I discussed this because she came in 4th place, but I'm like, let's break the curse. Let's not have you be in 4th place again. So it's a very personalized element. And here the belt goes on. And I wanted the option to remove the belt as well. I mean, not the belt, the 4. Just because if she ever wants to wear this as like a more high-end piece without any insignias, it's really interesting how like one little element can kind of make something a little bit more costume and then a little bit more high fashion without it. And here's the back, all the details, all the lacing up, plenty of cords in this, and it just moves very beautifully. And here she is.
Never underestimate the strength you have within. You can say
It was an absolute pleasure working with Miss Fierce on this project, and I always love working with clients who put faith in me and allow me to explore. And so I'm hoping to share more projects like this with you guys, and I have a few interesting ones lined up. Take care.